most intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and with me, as always, is the co-host with the most, Jive Turkey Nano. How we doing, brother?
Doing good, brother. Great to see you, as always. Having a great week. You know, feeling that fall season, baby. We are rolling through October. All is well, man. Great to see you. And man, still coming off the high of 307, baby. Still coming down from the trip from Salt Lake City. A little salty, just like the judges apparently, just like the Twitterverse, my brother. Everyone is chucking and jiving out there. I just had to quickly say, I'm doing well. No complaints. Again, all around. Can't wait to dive on in with you, brother.
Absolutely, bro. Can't wait to dive in with you as well. And man, what a card. One hell of a card. Shout out Tico Tech LLC in the chat, as well as Brianna Frost. Love to see you here. So yeah, man, we have one hell of a card to talk about, and then tomorrow we'll be back same time, same place to break down UFC Fight Now Royval versus Taira. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into UFC 307 with the very first fight of the night. Court McGee, the Crusher, coming in there against Tim, the Dirty Bird Means. Oh, man. I got it right on my little card I put together, but I got it wrong on the live picks here. So a little 50-50 action, I guess. Either way, I was shocked. I saw that fight going a lot of different ways. I did see Court McGee's wrestling possibly proven to be a problem, but I didn't see it going this way. Round one submission inside of under 4 minutes. He did it in 3 minutes and 19 seconds, folks. That is absolutely insane speed for the young man, Court McGee. And it's been some time since he's got a finish, let alone a submission win. I mean, if you go down the rabbit hole and you look for the last time he got a submission win, it was 2010. So, I mean, that was a long time ago, right? Yeah, it's been some time, right? 14 years. He got it done, and it was a nasty little submission, right? He ended up getting it done via neck crank, didn't even have it under, just cranked that son of a gun and forced Tim Means to tap. Otherwise, he possibly would have got that neck broke. And you never want to see a Dirty Bird get their neck broke. You know what happens next. So with that being said, all jokes aside, Nano, what were your thoughts on that Dirty Bird fight there?
Man,
your fellow bird getting cooked.
That bird is the word, my brother. You're absolutely right. Court McGee with, in my book, the upset, because I was certainly thinking the Dirty Bird was going to get in there and be angry with it. But that was not the case. From one drive turkey to another, that's what we saw in there. Tim Means did not have the means to get it done. Court McGee in his backyard, and I think I heard on the commentary as well, seemed to be healthy going into this one. That might have been something, frankly, was not aware of. You know, you assume nobody in this mixed martial arts world is necessarily 100% healthy, but if he was maybe battling some injuries, like you mentioned, coming off of a tough losing streak there, maybe just all things are clicking on the right, right place at the right time. Not for Tim Means, that is. But hey, Court McGee, you love to see the hometown kid set the tone for the night, get the crowd going, get the people to their feet, and a dominant win, right? A submission, anything there, getting the finish, leaving the judges out of it, which, maybe we hoped more people would have ended up doing. We would have maybe have liked to see less judges' scorecards, not to insinuate what the running topic is again on Twitter or on the Xverse, on social media. You're hearing a lot about the judges, and hey, they weren't needed on this one. So shout out to Court McGee for keeping it out of their hands. I don't have a opponent in terms of who's next for our guy Court McGee here. Welterweight's a stacked division, but when you get a quick dominant finish like that, why not try to get paid again, get a quick turnaround, maybe see him in the next, maybe this year, but more likely early next year in 2025, be seeing Court McGee again.
I'd like to see him in there again. I'm not going to play matchmaker for him, to be completely honest with you. I don't know who I'd like to see him in there against. I don't think he's got like a title run left in him at this age, at this point in his career. But I do think there are some fun matchups. I think at this point, you just have to put him in those types of fights, right? Fun matchups against noteworthy names that make sense for him to fight at this point in his career. Moving into the next one, since we're not going to play matchmaker for him, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. We got a women's strawweight bout between Carla Esparza and Tisha Pennington. Nano, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, again, like we were already insinuating, my brother, the judges obviously went to the scorecards here. And I'll say, leading into it, I was hoping to see the Cookie Monster become victorious. We were hearing about it already being her last fight, which can certainly make you feel one of two ways. You can look at it as, okay, she's going to be all motivated. I mean, she's literally leaving it all out there in the octagon. Or you could say, hey, she kind of already has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. She's already thinking about the next step. Is this the sport or competitive event you want to maybe do when you're knowing there is no future, that you're not trying to prove anything, that you're not contending for a title like she already had the belt twice in her career previously? What version were we going to see? I was a little worried. And boy, if you just clip that first round and just replay back those first 5 minutes, you would think it was vintage Cookie Monster Carla Esparza. She came out guns a-blazing. And again, maybe she thought I might as well just show my full hand of cards. I might as well do 52 card pickup, I think is what she said. Threw it all out on the table there, all over the floor. Gave her best shot. Hit her with her best shot. She fired away. But it wasn't enough. It was enough. I wish I could keep singing. I wish I could say it was a happy ending, but it was not the case. She did not get the W. Tisha Pennington, the younger, more springy, and the opponent with more motivation. She was trying to get that win back. She was able to weather the storm, weather the early storm there, that barrage of punches in the first round. But certainly, that's why it's judging based on each round individually. You forget about that first round and you take each 5 minutes individually as if they were their own fight. And she won 10 out of the 15 minutes. Could I make a case for Carla? Absolutely. I mean, she was active. Obviously, you look at the takedowns and being productive there, landing some, getting stuffed, but put together a well-fought game plan and made it competitive. I'll toss it back to you. I'm curious to hear if you maybe felt that Carla, the Cookie Monster, should have got the W on her way out, that kind of Robbie Lawler moment. I know us fans and maybe the kid and at heart in me wanted to see that, but I think it was the right decision. I don't know what's next for Tisha, but I do think that sky's the limit for her. She's now in a really, really powerful position, ranked. So I would just say anyone with a number, sign me up, and it's going to be a great challenge for her. But curious to hear your thoughts, brother. What do we got?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you, man. First and foremost, great breakdown as always, Nano. I think you could argue the case that Carla won that fight. I thought she did just enough to win. She definitely won the first round. There are some worlds where you could call that a 10-8. If someone lands 77 strikes to 19, that's about as 10-8 as it gets, brother. And also, you add in the fact that she had 3 minutes and 40 seconds of control time in a 5-minute round. So she controlled you all but less than a minute and a half. So Carla Esparza should have gotten a 10-8 in that round. And then if you look at round 3, again, 1 of 1 on takedowns, though she didn't have a ton of control. She controlled her for just under 20 seconds there. But I still feel like she did enough to at least get a draw in that round, which, again, would have made the fight a draw. I would have been more happy with a draw than a Tisha Pennington win. I just didn't think that Tisha did enough to win that fight. The judges deserved a stern booing on that night. Look, man, I mean, I think everybody who left it in the hands of the judges regretted that and wished that they could go back in time and try to do more somehow, some way, some shape or form. But I digress. You can't go back. You can't go back in time, folks. Not yet. But, modern science, maybe in the future, who knows? Either way here, folks, it didn't go her way. It is what it is. Tisha Pennington secured another win in her UFC career here over a legend in Carla Esparza. And, before we talk about what could possibly be next for Tisha Pennington, we got to talk about Carla Esparza and Joe Rogan coming into the octagon afterwards and playing that beautiful tape for her. I genuinely, if you told me, like, hey, man, do you think you'll get emotional when Carla Esparza retires? I would have told you before Saturday night. Probably not. But she's had a stellar career. And I think she's one of those people that does not get even a third of the respect that she has earned and deserves in this sport and from its fan base. So with that being said, folks, I give you a round of applause, Carla Esparza. Just a stellar career, a fabled career, dominant career. And we love to see it. We love to see it. We'll pour one up for that. Used a different applause button. That was the longest.
That was perfectly timed, though. That was perfectly timed.
Show.
Much deserved, and maybe that's deserved. The one for when they retire, right? When we're seeing them coast off into the sunset. Although Gage here in the comments, Esparza was just so boring. Oh, my brother, Double G. I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Though, brother.
I hear you. She may not have the most ferocious fighting style. I certainly can agree with that. But hey, a two-time champ is a two-time champ. You gotta at least give her the flowers, even though hey, may not be your cup of tea. I hear you, brother. Great to have you in there. Let us know what you think of the rest of the card here as we go on through. We got fire emojis from Brianna here. Overall, maybe it's my emoji would be the guy like this. Like, well, I don't know, man. I did want to say the stone head, but it's maybe the question mark because there's just so much controversy around this card. And here's kind of a good take, right? We both are split in terms of who we feel might have won. I agree with you, if I'm being honest. And we're not alone in maybe how polarizing this card was, to say the least. But yeah, man, hey, got to give credit where it's due. I was also like Joe. My allergies were getting the better of me as I was watching that. How do you not feel for it, right? It was a great video. I hope they do that more often. And like Gage is commenting here, respect to them all who get inside the ring /octagon, though, for sure. Well said. Couldn't have said it any better. That's why we're here. That's why we pour one out. And I would pour a little bit out, but my wife would kill me, so I'm not going to do that.
Don't do that. Plus, that would just be a waste. So, cheers to a great career and to a great human being, Carla Esparza.
Salud. Thank you all for being here. Stay hydrated. Doesn't have to be, the adult bevies. It can be water. It can be electrolytes.
Out of your MMAnomaly Show flask.
It could be tea. If you're watching this in the morning, get you a cup of coffee, whatever it takes to get you going.
Wherever you are, we're happy that you're tuning in here while we break down these fights. So, obviously, Tisha Pennington is trying to go on a run, it seems, right? Like she's right back in the mix. And with women's strawweight being as, I don't know, it's kind of a shallow weight class, right? There's not a ton of fighters there like there is at the men's lightweight division or middleweight division. So I'm curious to hear, do you have a name on the tip of your tongue as to what you think should be next for Tisha Pennington?
It's a tough one. I would have to say anyone with a number next to their name, definitely. I don't think you take a step back after beating a two-time strawweight champ. So you certainly are looking ahead, which is exciting for her. As you look at it, maybe now things are just starting for Tisha. You now have that target on your back. But who makes sense from a timeline perspective? That still is to be said. We can just kind of go down the list here. The people that are all ranked just above her are booked, but someone that is not booked yet, similar to a Carla Esparza, someone who is coming off a loss. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily love putting a loss against someone that's coming off a win. But when you're both ranked, I think that's all out the door. I think you know who I'm going with here. I'm going with someone who has the most punches landed in the division. I'm talking about Angela Hill, baby. That's right. That's right. She just fought Baby Shark Tabitha Ricci back in August here, so about a month ago. So unless she got any injuries that I'm unsure of, I'm sure she's going to want to get back in there, lick her chops. This is the way to do it. What do you think, brother? Is that a little too bullish? Do you think, are you going even farther up? Or
I'm going even farther up, if I'm being honest with you. I love
Here we
that
go.
pick, though.
Getting spicy.
Love that pick, though. Let's ride the train, baby. I like the Angela Hill pick. I'll be honest with you. That was a name that I thought about putting down. I put another name down that is down 3 rankings since her last fight. I'm talking about a Marina Rodriguez. Okay? I'm talking about somebody who needs a win and is probably willing to fight down to get it. Not saying that Tisha Pennington is fighting down, but statistically, she is, because she's now number 14, I believe. No, number 15. Jeez. So she wasn't ranked before this. She's now number 15. Marina Rodriguez drops from number 6 to number 9. So you got to think she'd probably be game to fight someone a little bit lower on the totem pole, a little bit lower on the pecking order than her, to try and get that win back and feel good about her position as far as making another run at the title. That was a tough loss that she just recently suffered. So I think trajectory-wise, they line up. But if I'm being honest, living in the realm of reality, I think your pick is probably more likely to happen, brother.
Well, I'll take it. Yours is probably the spicier one, maybe the one I think I'll be rooting for a little bit more. But if I'm right, then I'll take that consolation any day. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. So with that being said, we're jumping into the next fight. We had Ryan Superman Spann coming in against Vince St. Preux, a.k.a. OSP. Folks, look, I told you a couple things, all right? Most of them were right. Actually, I would say all of them were right. I said that both these guys are notoriously slow starters and that if one of them wants to really take over the fight, they're going to have to come out and break that and really overwhelm the other with a fast start. I also believe I said, and you can quote me on this, you can check the record, that, in order to beat Superman, you need kryptonite. And I just don't think that OSP's got that in his utility belt. Looked like he didn't have it in the utility belt on Saturday night, folks, because Ryan Superman Spann came out there and got it done with a quickness, folks. 1 minute and 35 seconds into round number 1, he goes out there and gets the guillotine. And then he leans over and yells at John Anik, "It's the Supermanatine," which is hilarious. So he hit him with the Supermanatine. I guess like he's trying to steal a note out of the St. Preux choke for the Von Flue choke. I don't know. Maybe. Either way, did I see it happening by submission? Nah, I thought he was going to get a KO at the very best. But either way, we got the pick right, and that's what really matters above all. Ryan Spann shocked the hell out of me. He looked really good. If he can come out here and have fast starts like that, man, I'd like to see him run any of those 3 fights against Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith, or Bogdan Guskov back. I think they'd be a different result, possibly. Nano, what were your thoughts and what stood out to you with Superman on this Saturday?
Yeah, brother, it was exactly that. I think his ability to still get it done in terms of putting leather to face and hurt OSP, which ended up was the beginning to the end there, right? He mentioned getting the choke, kind of having maybe his staple against OSP's, OSP choke or the Von Flue choke, however we want to now label that moving forward. It would have been cool if he tried to throw it up and he was able to get out of it or something, right? But no, not a lot of time needed. Superman was all business here. I don't even think Clark Kent needed to make an appearance. He said, "I'm going straight to work." And yeah, man, like I said, put a straight right hand or left hand right down the pipe, hurt OSP, had him retreating, and then the guillotine. Hey, what do we say around here? Don't be silly, you take the gilly. Jump the gilly, baby. Come on, Gage. Right on time, baby. Right on time. Love to see it. That's what it's all about, man. Hive mind going on there. But I love Superman, man. I love the nickname. Got to root for him, obviously. But in terms of what's next, I mean, he's a namesake. He's a guy that's been around the block. And before I continue on here,
from the chat here from Making the Walk. Make sure you guys check out their YouTube as well. Making the Walk.
Let's go.
What up, boys? An interested Span dog walks Lionheart at this point. You know, I'm not opposed to that. And I think you're probably right.
Yeah. I think you're definitely on the right scent there. Making the Walk here. Not your first time making the walk or making the opinion. I like where your head's at. And I think that's definitely like that neck of the woods is where Ryan Spann should be looking at. He could potentially be a headliner. Wouldn't go as far as say a pay-per-view, but a fight night. Certainly.
He can headline the fuck out of an Apex card, brother.
Exactly, brother. When in doubt, you call Superman. That's the guy you want to call, right? And now you got a lot of eyeballs in this light heavyweight division. Whether it's, at the top, obviously, what's next, we'll obviously get there. But a Khalil Roundtree who got the shot at the 8th spot, you never know. Ryan Spann is a 1 or 2 win away in exciting fashion, as he typically does, to being right back in there. But there's a lot of exciting names, my brother. I mean, Anthony Smith, I guess we can definitely start there. But even anyone above him, I'm quickly thumbing through here who does not have an opponent. But, boy, a lot of them already have dance partners, so he might have missed the boat. Ooh, unless. Do you have a name in mind? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna call my shot here.
I'm intrigued to hear who you've got, but I mean, the name that I had other than Anthony Smith, Lionheart, is the loser of Ozdemir versus Olberg.
Ooh, I do like that. Okay, I do like that because it's a little fresh, but and I just realized they fought already, so it'd be a number 2 next to it, which you don't see often. But maybe it's to help one of them potentially get into that title contender status again. I'm talking about a Johnny. I don't have the bottle with me. Black Label Walker, baby, come on.
I'm not mad at that.
Doesn't have a dance partner. That's probably part of it. I think it has to go with having one of the best abilities, which is availability sometimes in the UFC. So that can make sense. Maybe you look at it, you pitch it to Ryan, hey, do you want this win back? Or do you want to try to get a win over this guy who, beat you the first time around? That's an easy sell. But if you're Johnny Walker, I mean, hey, maybe you could sell to him. Hey, you already beat the guy. Go out there, take care of business, and then we'll reward you and give you a shot at maybe a Khalil Roundtree or someone else like that who, I guess, as we're looking at here in the comments here, I'm looking for a lifeline, and my guy Cage, Double G, got me again. Walker is exciting. I agree. And before I carry on here, I'll give a tip of the cap to the old cowgirl, Sav, in the comments. Howdy, partner, how we doing? Great to see you. Pass it back to you, brother. What do you think, man? What are we feeling?
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that Johnny Walker pick at all. And fun fact, for those of you that might have forgot, Johnny Walker has a knockout over Khalil Roundtree Jr. A nasty one. Elbow to the face. To the face. It was a nasty-ass knockout. Very unexpected, but I digress. He got it done.
That's what he does.
So we know he's got power. That's what he does. He either gets knocked out or he knocks people out. So love to watch it. Something I didn't love to watch even just a little bit. If I could get back the time, I would. Cesar Almeida versus Ihor Potieria. Look, I thought this should have been a win for Ihor Potieria or a DQ at the very least, man. He ate 3 nut shots and an eye poke. Or 3 eye pokes and a nut shot. Sorry. In a matter of like 3 minutes. After already doing it the round before. Like, I know I mentioned that the dude is inexperienced, but fucking hell, bro. Like, how inexperienced is this guy? Like, and look, he's a kickboxer before he was an MMA fighter. So I know that if you're wearing gloves, like kickboxing gloves, they're boxing gloves, right? When you do Muay Thai. So you can do this and you're not able to poke anybody in the eye because you're just spreading the glove. And that's a Thai style of fighting. You do that whenever you throw elbows, you open your hands. But a lot of these MMA fighters, they'll keep their fingers extended, and that's how they end up poking you in the eye, because when they're going away, they're fading away and their eye or their finger grazes into your eye. It's disturbing to see, right? The ref should have been replaced in between rounds. It was embarrassing. It was foul. Like, these people have one job. It is to protect the fighters. This dude failed at that across multiple fronts. In every facet of the word, he failed to do his job. The only thing that he actually did correct for work that day is put on pants and a shirt. That is it. That's all he did correct. I'm happy they pulled him after the fight, but I agree with Gage Guidry here in the chat, just spitting straight up fucking fire tonight, that they should have pulled him during the fucking fight, between rounds. That's the move. You fucking, you cut this guy, you fire him, do not pass go, do not collect $200. It was sad. It was embarrassing. Like, if PFL is ever going to get a leg up on the UFC, it's going to be amateur hour shit like that happening on the UFC's watch, folks. Yeah, this was just a piss poor fight. Cesar Almeida, even with all the cheating and eye pokes, still barely outlanded Ihor Potieria on significant strikes. I'm talking sub 15. So he also got taken down 3 times. I don't know, man. I don't even... I can't give Cesar any positive critiques. I can't give him any like compliments. It was a very unhappy fight to watch. I was sad watching it. Making the walk here in the chat. Perhaps the ref thought this was an eye pokes or okay match. Yeah, man. He's been watching WWE. This was a street match or whatever the fuck they call it in WWE. No holds barred. Hell in a cell.
I was going to say that. I was going to try to fit in a Captain Insano reference because, he keeps poking him in the eye.
Captain Insano shows no mercy.
Exactly. Captain Insano does no mercy. So that might have been what happened. Maybe he's a prodigy of a good old Captain Insano. I digress. I mean, it is, we got to probably address the elephant in the room here, right? I think there's a lot of factors that go into this beautiful sport of violence that we cover here. And obviously the judges are one complexity, and the reality is that's a job, just like refs or anything there that's under that much scrutiny and under that much pressure. I don't think I would be signing up for it, so I give them all the props. But it's tough, and I think the other thing that makes it even harder is I guess I can consider ourselves laymen. Yeah, I'm just a jive turkey talking here, but we probably know a little bit more than the average person. And even that, it's like I think the UFC can do a lot of good if we just had a little bit more transparency here, right? Maybe even if it's not just us, maybe at least the fighters. What I'm leading up to here real quick as my little sidebar is you see it in other sports. Refs will go into the locker rooms and they'll let them know, hey, if we see this type of call, or hey, we want a clean match. If we see, it could be something like holding in football, or it can be in basketball. Like if we see a lot of hard fouls or a lot of hard swipes, like we'll give you a warning, hard warning, but we're going to start calling them. Or maybe they're coming in, they're like, hey, I'm gonna have a quick whistle tonight. Like, no shit talking, like all that to say there's nuance. And if there is going to be some nuance there with the judges, I don't want to say that's fine, because there's somewhat of a scoring system, but it's like, hey, at least I want the fighters to know, hey, this is what we're looking for. And they were talking about it more than I've heard in a long time, about the like doing things to win the fight versus just like doing things to maybe survive or to just score a point potentially. And this was kind of a good example of it, where Ihor was certainly not able to win the fight if it was just a boxing match or a kickboxing. I think Cesar Almeida obviously had the advantage there, looked more comfortable, looked relaxed, was countering, was timing things good, was stuffing some of the takedowns, which surprised me. I think if I'm watching it, and that's where I would be using some of that context. If I am watching the fight and someone is winning with the boxing, and now it's causing the opponent to utilize their wrestling advantage, then I'm now looking at that, and if he's scoring takedowns, I guess regardless, the takedown's a point, so you got to like favor that. But I also was looking at it, like I was looking at Almeida, and I'm like, okay, he's stuffing some of these, he's doing good. That's also a point for the defender there. That's I don't know if I would reward Ihor for the repetitiveness of the takedowns, like a Marab, where it's like, okay, that doesn't that wouldn't hold. I wouldn't hold a lot of weight with me as a judge. You know, I think again, and that's where we can get in, not get too much into it, but it's like you got to understand that these are humans here. They're making game time decisions in the moment, and same with the refs. I mean, they have a job as well. It's tough when the guy's just getting kicked or they're flailing, or obviously when it comes to that, eye pokes or knee or the middle groin area. Like, I get it. Take all the time. It's tough, and some of that is just sloppiness. Unfortunately, I think we are just so used to seeing high level fighting that, hey, if we go turn on some amateur circuit stuff, we might see some strikes and a lot of groins or things that just may not look the same. So it was a little bit of that going on. Unfortunately, Cesar can do better there. I think Joe kept mentioning too, or actually I don't think Joe was on it, but I could hear Joe's voice talking about how if you're sparring a lot and you're not used to having those gloves, the MMA style gloves, that can factor in. So you're just seeing some of that where it's like comes with time, unfortunately. But man, it was a fun fight. I thought Almeida did the better, like was the better fighter here in the terms of stuff in the defense, stuff in the takedowns, and winning on the feet. I'm not gonna reward him and grant him another up and coming stud just yet. I'll let the judges, or I'll let the brass pick the next opponent here for Cesar. But it was an interesting fight, and I had to take the chance to drop in my thoughts, and I'm curious to hear everyone else here. We got 88 of y'all. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Like, did the judging impact you? Obviously, I'll dish it over to you, my brother. Lay it on me. What do we think?
Again, this fight was just wild. The judging I agree with. I did think Cesar did enough to win. However, a point not being deducted is absolutely insane. As Gage Gidry said here in the chat, no point deduction is beyond me. And as I said in the chat here, look, if I'm Ihor, I'm sprinting towards Cesar and soccer kicking him in the crotch as hard as I possibly can at the start of the next round, since cheating is okay and there's no point deductions. I'm a cheat too. And shout out S-Dogs MMA Talk. What up, Sterling? The boys are live. Yes, we are, sir. Yes, we are. And shout out to you, bro, having John Anik on there, brother. Let's go. Can we get some air horn for this guy?
That's all I heard when you were saying that. We are live, baby.
We are live. Dude, let's fucking go. So sick. Our guy Sterling, S-Dogs MMA Talk, had John Anik, the absolute legend, on his show today. Great episode, great interview. Tip of the cap to you. And man, yeah, definitely make sure you check out his channel and check out that episode. Absolutely sick. So, yeah, man, Cesar Almeida, jumping back into this one, I did think he did enough to win. It's interesting, though. If you think about the fact that he's a kickboxer and he's new to MMA, he actually got 15 of his 57 total significant strikes from ground strikes. So if you take those away, Ihor outlanded him on the feet as far as significant strikes. Isn't that interesting? Since, we're talking about a kickboxer versus an MMA guy. He actually outlanded him at range. Like, it was a fairly good fight. I think Ihor probably does a lot better if he's not getting kicked in the dick and poked in the eyes. Call me crazy, folks. He said, I'm here for the air horn and big vibes from the boys, brother. We'll do the air horns all night for you, brother. And we are glad to see you. We are glad to hear from you. And we're even more glad to see your shit blowing up, bro. So happy that you got Anik on the show. Again, such a sick episode, man. As soon as I saw it, I literally texted Nano and was like, bro, you got to check this out. It's a sick fucking episode.
Yeah, it's just fire. Big energy from the boy over there. Go check him out. And, like he said, their dick kicks definitely dead to slow you down. No slowing us down here. Protect the groin at all costs, but that'll certainly make you walk a little different now, I could definitely imagine, regardless of how much adrenaline is pumping through you.
Yeah, a couple dick kicks will definitely have you blinking real fast. Oh, man, speaking of other things that'll make you blink fast, eye pokes. I'm not going to dwell on this fight any further, folks. I'm not going to play matchmaker for Cesar Almeida. He has 7 professional fights. He is 6-1, which is very, very impressive. I should say 7 professional mixed martial arts fights, right? He has many more than that when it comes to kickboxing. Moving into another bit of a controversial fight, we had Austin Hubbard coming in against Alexander the Great Hernandez, or as as our boy Matt called him, Alexander the Mid Hernandez. Obviously not a fan favorite, folks. But I digress. Alexander Hernandez did take this fight on short notice, so you got to give props where props are due. He outlanded Austin Hubbard 91-65 on total strikes and 79-63 on significant strikes. He also made Austin Hubbard go 0 for 12 on takedown attempts, which I thought was pretty fucking impressive. I thought Hubbard would at least be able to get him to the ground and control him. He was able to do that for 5 seconds. Literally 5 seconds. Not making that number up. He had 5 seconds of control time. Sad to see. You just hate to see it. And Alexander Hernandez, I mean, he didn't have a ton of control time himself with 40 whopping seconds, but he wasn't really trying to get a ton of control time. He was trying to go up there on the feet and land big shots. And when he was throwing, he did seem to be throwing pretty hard. He also threw at a heavy volume. Both these gentlemen did. Between the two of them, over 400 attempted strikes were thrown. 193 from Austin Hubbard, 217 from Alexander Hernandez. So, I mean, these guys were definitely throwing. They were not trying to leave it in the hands of the judges, but neither of them really wanted to go down, so it did end up in the hands of the judges. Curious to hear who you thought won this, and if you had it going in the direction of Alexander Hernandez. Live watching the fight, I thought Hubbard did enough to win. Going back and rewatching the fight, I thought Hernandez actually did do enough to win. I thought he at least won rounds 1 and 3. So, yeah, curious to hear your thoughts, Nano.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Alex, the great Hernandez, did just enough to edge it out here. I felt like using the eyeball test during the 15 minutes of the fight, just felt like he was a little bit more on point. He was moving a little bit better, especially all throughout. Like from pillar to post, he didn't really slow down. And you know he's tough as nails. So I think after a while, he started to take some of Austin's better shots. And then it felt like he was doing the smarter thing and relying on the jab and the 1-2s and keeping it simple, using that movement and just scoring. It turned into like a scoring boxing match a little bit, which I don't mind coming from a boxing background myself. But yeah, I just felt like Austin kind of started to rely more on his power shots. And once you see him missing heavy, it just doesn't look good. Again, using the eyeball test here. So to me, I felt like Alexander the Great did just enough, and it was a split decision. So, and I guess to our point here, maybe the judges were a little unpredictable. So who knows what we were going to end up seeing on those scorecards. But I do think Alexander the Great won. And again, man, you got to give him props. He came in on short notice, answered the bell, proved to be a little bit of the savvier vet here and just a little bit tougher, able to dig a little bit deeper. And to your point, I think I had the first and the second round, Alexander. I guess you can maybe make a case. I mean, it was split. Maybe make a case, the second and third. Like at times, Austin was coming on strong. I did type in the chat
rounds 1 and 2. That's what I meant to say. I think I said rounds 1 and 3. My bad.
Yeah, no, all good. It's and I think part of the late onslaught was it because he was maybe a little more desperate, or was the coaching out there down like, hey, you might be down, like you got to go try to put him away. But again, I just think, especially when you look at the numbers, and if you have that as a judge, I'm looking at those, I'm saying, okay, well, the eyeball test and then some of the numbers here certainly suggest Alexander had the upper hand. So give credit where it's due. Give him the old tip of the cap there. Alexander was not mid this Saturday night. He definitely was. I guess I'll consider him good, not great. That's maybe a better
Alexander the Good Hernandez. Hell of a nickname.
I don't even know. It's like the above average, but I'm like, yeah, it's still, I don't know, maybe too much credit.
Alexander the B+ Hernandez. Do you have a name on the tip of your tongue for Alexander the not mid Hernandez?
Not necessarily, man. And he's someone that I guess I can go back and forth on if he's a featherweight or a lightweight, kind of a tweener. So if it's on short notice, I guess anyone in that lightweight division can get the smoke. Or if he's trying to be competitive and make another step in their career there, maybe it's someone in the featherweight. But no one top of mind. Too big of a pool for me to try to match make with the boy. What are you thinking, though, brother?
I mean, he stepped up on short notice. He made the walk against a very game Austin Hubbard. He got the win. I mean, I say give him an opportunity, man. Let's see. Does Edson Barboza have anybody lined up? Give a chance to get back in the top 15 again.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I do like that. That's interesting.
Edson Barboza is an up and down fighter right now. He's a bit of a legend. I mean, not a bit of a legend. He is just a fucking legend. And Alexander Hernandez loves to fight legends and talk shit about them and make the MMA community hate him. So I think this would be no different. Give him Edson Barboza at featherweight, and let's see how that one plays out. I think it'll be a really cringy press conference and a really fun fight.
I like it, brother. I like it.
Oh, man. I crack myself up sometimes. Moving into the next one, we have Marina Rodriguez coming in against Yasmin Lucindo. This fight was a very fun one. Using the eyeball test, using the numbers. I mean, it definitely looked like a Lucindo win. It was very close. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a more dominant win from Lucindo, but did everything she needed to do to get it done in order to secure the win. Got 3 or 4 takedowns, landed a significant amount of control there, almost an entire round's worth of control time with 4 minutes and 40 seconds there. Again, I mean, you can make the argument that Marina Rodriguez did enough to win some rounds. Mainly, you could say that about rounds 2 and 3, just looking at significant strikes. But you would also have to ignore the fact that she was controlled in a bottom position for 2 minutes in one of those rounds and a minute and a half in the other round. And she got outlanded in significant strikes 2-1 essentially in the round before that and got controlled for a minute. So, I mean, come on. I think this is pretty straightforward. I don't think that there's reason for foul play with this one. We'll get into reason for foul play in some of these later ones. But great win for Yasmin Lucindo. Went out there and got it done over a very wily veteran. Ironically enough, now both women are 17-5. Little fun fact. Nano, did anything surprise you about this fight, or more importantly, Yasmin's performance?
Oh man, I guess surprising to be, not as offensive as I would have liked. I thought one of these girls potentially could have been seeking a finish. But before I go forward, Drewski, what up, brother? But yeah, no, making the walk. I'm glad you brought that comment up here because before we get too far into this matchup, it has to be said out loud. Hernandez versus Barboza. Okay. Think about it here. ... I like that. Okay. I like where this is going. Hope Barboza will kicks him into the PFL. Oh my guy. Jesus. From the top row, brother. Savage AF. I love it, man. I love it. But I also think that's hilarious, and I kind of agree, man. I mean, it's almost like one of them probably loser ends up into the PFL circuit, most likely. But I love Barboza. We got to protect him at all costs.
Bro, Barboza would go to PFL and win $1 million in featherweight.
Took a trip to Louisiana real quick. Barboza.
I did. I mean, the South came out a little bit, brother.
All right, now you got that Barboza. Let's go, baby. I'm excited, man.
Barboza's about to go to PFL and become a goddamn millionaire over there, man.
We can't do all the way back to the South, brother. The other side of Mississippi. Come on. So I'm rocking my Michigan Grand Rapids hat here. Come on. Shout out to them Grand Rapid Whitecaps. We out here. Come on, baby.
Let's go.
But yeah, man, no, all jokes aside, I thought the savvy vet and Marina Rodriguez was going to go out there, get it done, and rely on the violence that she comes in there with, that strike and pedigree that we usually love to see. But this one was simply tough, ladies and gents. I mean, we're talking a little over 100 total strikes landed over the course of 15 minutes, and that's with both of those fighters combined there. Round 1, 18-20 respectively for Marina versus Yasmin. 21-24, 26-11. I mean, and that's Marina with the upper hand in that third round. So I can see why it was split. Maybe you're just looking at it as, man, it's hard to judge. What do you do with just that little bit of action, right? Obviously there are some takedowns, things like that. I certainly was hoping Marina was going to win because that's who I said was going to win. Now I look like a big old dunce because I was wrong again. But all good. All good. I went against my better judgment, and I took the older fighter. I always come on here, and I tell y'all, go with the young buck, especially if it's over 6-7 years. Statistically speaking, you're usually right going with the young buck. So I'm excited to see that we got a new young up-and-comer. That was really what I was trying to get to here. Yasmin, absolute dog. She's strong. And, I mean, what can I say? I will say this, though. Need to see more. I know this was a tough one. This happens sometimes when you get two strikers and things get nullified. But we need to see it, put the pedal to the metal a little bit more. Go on the offense. Trust your chin. Trust your defense. But yeah, all good things from there. And in terms of what's next for Yasmin, even Marina too, as she gets older here in the division, it's tough. They're both kind of trending in the opposite directions now. If we look at the stocks here, if we're comparing them to the stock market, if you're impressed with her performance, then maybe you give Yasmin somebody in the top 5 potentially. I don't know. Mackenzie Dern seems to just be like the new punching bag in the division. Maybe you give that to her. But I'm curious who. Well, I mean, I think we know why. I digress. Enough about the dump trucks, brother. What are you thinking?
Man. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. I think the next move is probably gonna be something like a dump truck. Is that who you had in mind?
It makes sense. She does have a dance partner. I can certainly be talked out of it. That's a jump. And when you're sitting at 22, I think anything's possible. I think you answer any of those phone calls. I don't know if she has the pick of the litter, right? I'm sure it's probably going to be, hey, you're going to or fighting this opponent. But Mackenzie makes sense. That's a big name. Brazilian, so you can go out there. But again, I can be sold out of it, brother. I
would honestly say it's got to be either Mackenzie Dern or Amanda Ribas. Those are really, really fun fights.
That's a fun one.
I think they're both electric. Both women on either side, A side, B side. I don't know who would be the A side on that fight. Either way, though, like they're both fire fights. Both women are very, very marketable for many, many reasons, and both are very, very good fighters. So. Yeah, as Conor McGregor once said, sign me up. I'm fucking ready for it, baby.
The long pause there, I was hoping you were just going to end with, they're both women. So they should fight.
Strawweights.
Book it. Damn,
book it. Violence.
Violence. Classic.
Classic strawweight fight. It will certainly be one of the strawweight fights of UFC history. I promise you that.
Punches will be thrown.
Yes, Mackenzie Dern. I will honestly tell you, Mackenzie Dern is fantastic, and TV does not do her justice. Having seen her in person twice, she is just a stunning woman, and just so fucking physically fit. It's insane. Moving forward, speaking of people that are physically fit, you got Joaquin Buckley coming in against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Oh, man. I got to pour up a shot for this one. It was sad. It was a sad thing. Man, I thought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson looked good out there. He actually was winning the fight. He was up on significant strikes. He was up on total strikes. He was, stuffing a decent amount of the takedowns and getting back up when they were landing. But, if we learned anything from this fight, Nano, it's that years of karate experience, beautiful, crisp boxing, fantastic Muay Thai, incredible timing, accuracy, years of experience. They mean nothing if you just throw that one more strike and cover a shit ton of distance. And that's exactly what happened. Stephen Thompson did everything right. He moved out of range, and then fucking Joaquin Buckley just so happened to become a video game character. And he just stepped forward and landed a fucking, there's not really a ton of things I can think of that it seemed like, but other than just a train that refused to stop. He marched forward and just launched a cannon. And I hated to see it. With that being said, I pour up my shot, and I completely agree with Sav in the chat here. Wonder Boy versus MVP, probably the fight for me. I'd love to see that fight. It's somebody that's not going to try and take him down repeatedly, and it's someone that he's going to be able to go out there and have kind of a karate fight with. It's basically like an episode of Cobra Kai, but inside of the octagon. And yeah, Gage, man, my boy Thompson, he was dominating. He was dominating, in my opinion, as well. And shout out to Gage being from Lafayette, Louisiana. My guy. I got family out in Lafayette, brother. Dustin Poirier is my favorite fighter of all time. Got to train with DC for a little bit. Like, dude, shout out Lafayette all fucking day, baby.
Let's go. Yeah, heard me. Come on.
I agree making the walk. He was winning until he wasn't. My guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Double
Truer
G.
words have never been spoken.
Nah, absolutely right. Double G's right as well, man. Dominating in both of our opinions here. Salud. Cheers to Wonder Boy.
Cheers,
legend.
Wonder Boy.
It's tough, man. And it's one of those things, like, he'd probably outspar anybody in the world. Dude can mix them up. Fantastic.
I would love
like
to
no other.
with Wonder Boy. Like, I just feel like it'd be such a good time.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be nice to you. Obviously, I think probably first and foremost why I would absolutely say yes to that too. But then in terms of skills and learning and having fun, like, I truly think he's probably a perfect example of that. But also from a skill perspective, I mean, dude still got it, right? Sometimes, as a former pitcher myself, I like to think, hey, you never lose the fastball. That thing stays on until the wheel falls off, metaphorically or literally, till my rotator cuff falls off. That's a different story for a different day. But yeah, man, I do think that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was looking fantastic.
Time to make a trip to Mexico and get some of them stem cells, brother.
Damn to Mexico. Maybe, man, maybe. I don't know. I guess, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I could. When I was playing softball most recently, I was doing okay. But then again, I'm not pitching. If I'm trying to, get a motherfucking scholarship, I probably would need to go out there and get on that Barry Bonds treatment. But that's, again, different story for a different day, baby. Hang him up now.
Don't be crazy.
Don't be crazy, man. But yeah, brother, this was tough. This was tough because I definitely was doubting our boy Joaquin Buckley here. I had to see it to believe it. I'm a huge fan. I love everything he brings in. He's good for the UFC. He's had his highs, he's had his lows, but he takes it on the chin. He keeps it moving, and he's still getting better. And this was a good example of it. To the point, he was probably losing, and I think part of that was, hey, you're not going to beat Wonderboy Thompson in a striking match. It's just really tough to do. Now let me finish here because obviously, like, the scorecard, you're like, what are you talking about? But if you're just going tit for tat, he's going to find a way to outscore you. And he tried to do the right thing there from a game plan perspective. Get the takedowns. Wonderboy stuffed a couple, but he still landed them. So I think he did enough to be competitive, even if he didn't get the finish there. I don't think he would have lost any stock, in my opinion. I don't think he was getting outclassed. Losing the fight, yes, but outclassed, not necessarily. And hey, he was still right there in it. And I'll tell you what, my brother, it doesn't matter what happens, in the first through the third quarter, or okay, I'm gonna stick with just the MMA here. I'm making too many sports comparisons, but hey, man, if you got that ultimate neutralizer and you got that knockout power, motherfucker, it don't matter. Do whatever you want to me at any point until I'm out. I'm getting mine, and that's honestly, that's something that my dad, Big Tone, will kind of talk about. It's like, hey, you better put me out. Like, you better put me out. That was kind of like one of his things.
You're gonna wish you did, son.
Because I'm gonna get mine. Like, he's like, obviously, you better put me out, and you better make sure I'm out. Because if I get back up, I'm getting mine. I'm gonna get mine. So Joaquin got his, brother, and he exploded into that. Used all bit of his He-Man power that he's got, and unfortunately for Wonder Boy, the Windows 2000s laptop or desktop there crashed, and you hate to see it, but hey, when it lands perfectly, it lands perfectly. And a part of me thinks that, like, this was probably the best case scenario, in the sense that, like, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson still looks great. It's not like we're sitting here like, oh man, he's washed. But Joaquin, for his career and what's next, I certainly think that that this was the best thing that could have happened, because now he's in the conversations calling out a Kamaru Usman. Like, that's awesome. I love that for Joaquin Buckley. Someone I'm rooting for. Obviously, Wonder Boy too, but he's a nice guy. He'll be okay. And after MVP, I don't think I have a lot else that I want to see Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson do in the UFC, in my opinion. I don't know if that's what you have next for him. And again, if I'm Joaquin Buckley, reward the guy. Kamaru, that's a good matchup. If not him, then maybe you give him one of these other young guys, a Michael Morales. Shout out my Colombianos out there. And my Ecuadorians as well. But yeah, someone like that can be really exciting for Joaquin Buckley. He's young, and whoever he fights next, it's like they're both kind of one step closer. That's why he's calling out a Kamaru. You're right. You're right in that conversation. And everyone's busy at the top. Obviously, he's sitting here now, Joaquin, at a 9 spot. I mean, Gilbert Burns would be a fun one. I love my boy Gilbert. I just wouldn't want to see him face off against Joaquin Buckley. I love them both so much, but cut me off here, brother. I mean, am I in the right direction? Is Kamaru too high? I just say reward him if you call someone out. Like, why not? You jumped in there, you beat Wonder Boy. But is that too far? Do you think like a Michael Morales is maybe more of the ballpark?
I don't think it's too far. I actually would go. I would go about the same range. I think Kamaru might be a little bit too far up the ladder for him, but I wouldn't mind seeing him fight like a Sean Brady, who's sitting at number 5 right now, up 1 rank in the rankings. And look, guys, I know I hit him with the window shut down, and that's the bad news. The good news is, right after he shut down, he got right back up. I mean, it was a quick pop-up, folks. He's totally fine. And also, he's 41, but he's only been knocked out like twice, right? Like, dude's a fucking stud. He just got caught clean. It happens. It's not like he went out there and took like a ton of abuse, okay? Carla Esparza landed more strikes in her fight than was landed on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, or he landed. So, not that crazy absorption of strikes. It was just one really big one that got through the guy, Joaquin Numanza. Buckley, he fired straight from the fucking hip. It was nasty. Oh man, I wish I had the dial-up sound. Damn, Gage, I'm gonna have to add that to the arsenal of sound bites here. The AOL sound. I know exactly what sound you're talking about because it's the bane of my existence, being from the decade that I was born in. The good old dial-up sound, man.
Is it like the bang? Yeah, kind of like a sharp.
Yes. I will definitely have to get the AOL sounds. That'd be a good addition to the arsenal. Kind of like that hip fire was a good addition to the arsenal from Joaquin Buckley. So yeah, great win for him. I think the next matchup for him should probably be somebody like a Sean Brady. Maybe even a Jack Della Maddalena. Jackie 3 names. That'd be a really fun one.
Yeah, and has anything been officially announced with our boy JDM? I know there's a lot, and I say a lot, flown around with him as of recent, but if he is not on the docket yet, that would be awesome.
He doesn't have anything official right now.
Oh.
Last fight was March against Gilbert Burns.
Well, and he was out at 305 for an arm surgery, so
yeah.
Quick recovery, my brother. Hopefully he can get back in there soon. But yeah, I mean, if that's...
He had arm surgery 1 week after 299. 10 days later, his wound began splitting, which was indicative of an infection. He went in for surgery number 2, as he believed there was an infection present. He had his bone cleaned, plate that was inserted was replaced, and then he stayed in the hospital for 9 days on IV antibiotics, then moved to oral antibiotics. They thought the infection was under control, and the wound had itself a couple of abscesses pop over the next 5-week period, which had to be cut and drained. So he's been through it. Yeah, pretty sad, disgusting stuff there. You hate to hear that, especially after a surgery already. But I mean, you got to think that was some time ago. That was 299 is when he had it. 305 is when he had to pull out. So I would assume
get back
just about ready to get back in there
within 12 weeks time. He said back to 100%. So if that was, you said 299. Should be.
Yeah, I feel like timeline, he should be getting pretty close to signing the dotted line at the very least. And you got to think after that fight this past weekend, his opponent that we're trying to matchmake for him and Joaquin Buckley, it's not like he didn't take any strikes, right? He'll still want a couple weeks to recover, and then he'll still want some time for an actual camp.
Right.
So I'd imagine you slate them for maybe like a December, January, or February card against one another. That'd be a fun banger.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Oh, we see some fun striking there, wouldn't we? Ooh.
Yeah, we would.
Oh,
That'd be
boy.
a really exciting strikers match.
Let's go. Yeah, that division's buzzing right now. I love everything about it. So any of those guys, mix them up, throw them in a bag, or like DP said, tournament style. Maybe on the same night. He's talking a little crazy, although I do love it.
Love that. A BMF
Hey, man,
style tournament?
love where his head's at. But just say tournament style or any of them. Mix anyone up. I don't even care. Like, but make it happen. I'll be there. I'll be signed up. Sign me up.
I'll be there. I'll bring the beers.
In the biz. I'll bring the biz.
So moving to the next one, we are here, guys. We've made it. It's time.
It's time
To talk about the main card of UFC 307, folks. That's right. We are going to talk about women's bantamweight bouts between Ketlin Vieira and Kayla Harrison. Nano, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because I definitely had thoughts and I learned a lot.
Definitely learned a lot. I guess we'll keep it short and sweet here because I don't know how much I can really break down this wrestling game, and I don't know how judgmental I'm going to be here, how much controversy I'm going to stir up. But all things considered, I mean, Kayla Harrison is who we thought she is, and people are, maybe expecting her to go out and just be a new version, the female Khabib Nurmagomedov, or as she even compared herself, the female Brock Lesnar. And though I guess I appreciate dominance in and of itself as a competitor, but the reality is they're all pros here. Like, no one's running away with it like that. And Caitlin's a strong girl, like at a minimum, especially after seeing the face-off, things like that. Like, obviously muscles and all that's one thing, but Caitlin's just as big. I think she's even a little bit taller, and just a stout woman with really good technique. So, when you make your career in other organizations, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt in terms of how strong are these people, what kind of skills are they bringing to the table. This was a good test. She obviously won the fight, and man, it's one of those things. Like, she's doing it the right way. Not brash, not necessarily trying to be disrespectful, but she sticks to her guns, and she's well spoken, and does all the events and does everything she needs to do. And honestly, I think she has some pull. She has some quote unquote riz. When she's getting the behind the scenes, I guess, dual screen, treatment here, kind of looking for the call out. Didn't get it. We'll dive into that here soon. But she's in the right spot. She's right where she needs to be. Honestly, I think she might be right, man. I think she's the queen. The ladies can have fun with the belt for now, and that's obviously Juliana Pena moving forward. But I do think if they end up squaring off, like, her game is just, it's a tough one. It's a tough nutcracker there, brother. So I'll leave some meat on the bone here. I'm impressed with it. I have a lot of regard. I hold a high regard for my girl Ketlin Vieira. So I knew she was gonna give Kayla some problems, but I knew Kayla was gonna win. So it happened the way I thought it was gonna happen. But curious to hear your thoughts, brother. Is Kayla getting the Dana White privilege? Perhaps. I mean, she's the new shiny toy. I think similar to Chandler, similar to Ben Askren. If you're the big new shiny toy and you're winning and you're beating ranked opponents now at number 3 when you're 2 or whatever it is, vice versa. I guess so, right? I mean, how else do you build it, right? I mean, to be totally honest, they're not going to build it outside of the octagon. So I think you kind of have to capitalize while they're both there in the building. Don't beat around the bush. I know, Gage. You're right, Double G. I hear you. And I don't think Dana would either. I think he'll tell you, hey, she's winning. I mean, it's different if she's losing these fights or it's one of these. It's a sport of what have you done for me lately,
not what have you done for me.
Mm-hmm. And this wasn't one of the questionable decisions or anything where it's like, oh, they're giving her the obvious treatment there. No, I mean, they weren't. Well, I don't know. Maybe, but
I definitely thought that this was a pretty clear-cut win for Kayla Harrison. And I think two things that I learned above all else, right? I already knew Caitlin could crack. I already knew Ketlin was a fucking dog, right? I knew she was a dog, and dogs bark in the backyard. as Nate the Train Landwehr says, folks. Shout out Nate the Train Landwehr. You already know we're a big fan of his out here. Now, with that being said, folks, we already knew Ketlin was a dog. We already knew that. We already knew she was going to go out there and give Kayla, looks that she's never seen before. What we didn't know is what happens when Kayla goes out there and gets beat up a little bit. What happens when she gets hurt, when she gets stung? I saw her eat probably the hardest elbow I've ever seen a female MMA fighter eat in the octagon. And she ate it point blank, and it gave her a disgusting hematoma directly after. Like within 2 seconds, that shit was a balloon, as Conor McGregor would say. So I learned 2 things right after that. I learned that Kayla is also a dog. Okay, I learned that when the going gets tough, she gets a little bit tougher. Okay, and she bit down to the mouthpiece, and she's like, okay, cool, this is happening. We're here. I'm eating elbows. This is fine. And then she pushed forward and started landing elbows of her own. And then the other thing I learned in this fight, Nano, is that not all cornermen, not all cutmen are created the same. I saw probably the quickest and best in-swell work I've ever seen in my life. This fucking hematoma was gross, dude. It was on its way to looking like Joanna Jędrzejczyk style, where they were, saying she looked like fucking Worf from Star Trek or something. Bro, he hit it with the in-swell, and all of a sudden it was like almost just not even noticeable. And so was the lead that Ketlin thought she had started to build. Ketlin went out there and pretty much made it dead even in the second round with significant strikes, right? 14-15. 15, of course, being Kayla Harrison. In that first round, it was pretty one-way traffic. 17-5 on significant strikes. Kayla went out there and got the takedown secured fairly early on. And from there, it was her world. She got 2 minutes and 46 seconds of control time. Landed some pretty solid ground strikes there. One thing that really intrigued me is that Ketlen Vieira didn't really land any ground strikes, right? Like when she was on the ground, she was trying to get up or trying to land some kind of submission. The simple fact of this is Kayla Harrison is good. And she has the potential to be incredibly great. We just haven't seen her fight the upper echelon, and that's why she looked human on Saturday night, right? She fought a Ketlen Vieira who is the upper echelon. And we saw what she looks like against that. She still looked pretty fucking dominant. So I think she kills Juliana Pena in a fight because I don't think Juliana Pena beat Raquel Pennington. I think the simple fact of the matter, and we'll get into it in just a few short minutes, folks, is one woman on Saturday night went out there and fought tooth and nail to get a win. The other woman went out there and was gifted a victory. There's a fucking big difference between those two things, folks. So good look on Kayla Harrison. I thought she looked absolutely incredible out there. Weathered the storm as the people in Florida are right now. Shout out, prayers to you guys and gals.
Big shout out.
Please stay safe over there, folks. And
yes, thoughts and prayers.
Again, like Kayla went out there and she weathered the storm. She ate these big shots and she just kept coming forward to the point of landing twice as many significant strikes. Oh, and by the way, she's only credited for 2 takedowns, yet somehow, some way, even with only 2 takedowns, she got 2 minutes and 46 seconds of control time in round number 1, 2 minutes and 2 seconds of control time in round number 2 with 0 takedowns, and 3 minutes and 6 seconds of control time in round number 3. So just fantastic reversal work, fantastic positioning, and just positional awareness overall, I would say, from Kayla Harrison. I look forward to seeing what's next for her. I truly think the only way to move forward from this is with a title shot against Juliana Pena and just let her ragdoll Juliana Pena into the oblivion. Nano, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously the move, even though Juliana didn't necessarily ask for that. That's the inevitable crash course here. Kayla Harrison is the Thanos of the division. And to Gage's point here, Double G, you're absolutely right, brother. Only person that can give Kayla problems here is the Lioness. And we're talking about the one, the only Amanda Nunes. I don't see her coming back. And if I'm being honest, I think Amanda, a motivated Lioness, regardless of how old, regardless of how wounded, is going to fight claw, tooth, and nail. And I do think the Lioness honestly whoops that ass. Maybe it's just the UFC fan in me, the diehard, but I do think the one thing I will say though, Kayla Harrison, man, she fights violent. Like she finds those opportunities to be violent and hurt her opponent and score.
I think Kayla Harrison comes back and avenges Honda Housey.
Yeah,
Amanda.
Ooh.
I think she could beat Amanda.
Oh, okay. I was saying
just because of the layoff, and because
that's
the last time we saw like Amanda fighting at 135 is a little bit different in my opinion. I feel like the weight cut is not something that she enjoys anymore. Not that anybody ever enjoys a weight cut, but I don't know, dude. I feel like Kayla Harrison is
only 2 years apart, bro. Kayla Harrison's 34, Amanda's 36. It could honestly. I mean, John Jones took 3 years off. I'm just saying. I don't know.
What's the stat say about people that are fighting over the age of 35? This is the stat that you hit me with a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, when there's an age gap, over 35, definitely probably not that much more favorable. I will probably admit. Female fighters, I think, is probably a little different, though. Honestly,
maybe,
but
different test pool for sure.
And we're also talking about the lioness here, so
no, you're not wrong.
I'll say throw those stats out the door when we're talking about her. Okay, not just kidding. But yeah, man, that's a tough one. I mean, I can't bet against the lioness. I don't care how long.
I don't think I'd bet on that fight. I think I would just stay the fuck away from it from a betting standpoint and enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think Kayla, the title has to be next for her. Like that's, I don't care what Juliana says. That's obviously what's next. That's why you bring her here, and it could potentially be the Kayla Harrison era moving forward here. So that's probably what we're looking down the barrel of here, ladies and gentlemen. And read Gage's comment if you want to just reiterate why I think I'm right.
So let's go to the chat real quick. He says, Gage Gidry, that is, says, nah, Amanda has too much experience and fight IQ, in my opinion. She would take Kayla to deep waters. Although I think Pena gives Kayla problems as well. Oh, Gage. We were off to such a good start, you and me. I thought we were becoming good friends, you and I. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay to have differing opinions. I definitely have a different opinion on that. I think Pena would not give Kayla that many problems, if any. But I do agree with you. I think Amanda has an incredible fight IQ. Look, she's the, is it GWOAT? Greatest woman of all time. Yeah, she's the GWOAT of MMA, in my opinion. And I don't see that changing for quite some time, folks. I don't know that Kayla is going to be able to pave that kind of career for herself like Amanda Nunes did. And she also doesn't have the names to do it against. Like, the reason we consider Amanda the GWOAT is because of what she did to Rousey to start her fabled career in UFC, right? Nobody was saying her name before that fight. Nobody, right? Not even the diehard MMA fans were saying, oh, Amanda Nunes is the future. Then she went out there and she dominated Ronda Rousey, and it's like, oh my God, she's a fucking amazing. So I think we need the lioness to come back and try and prove that she's the queen of the jungle once again. In order for Kayla Harrison to actually have a shot at achieving the status that she deserves. But either way, I think the next one has to be Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. With that being said, we're going to move into Roman Dolidze in the middleweight division, coming in against Kevin Big Mouth Holland. I know his nickname is Trailblazer, but I will always call him Big Mouth because that's how I know him. You know, got a problem? Have a fight pull out? Call Big Mouth. So look, I thought Big Mouth was going to go out there and get this done. I thought he was going to get that W, but he did not. It could not have gone worse for him. In fact, he looked like he was actually doing okay. He was doing pretty well, in my opinion, up until all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was a weird body extension from his opponent. He kind of stretched his torso out. And when that torso stretched out, there it is. One more time for those in the back. Yeah, it was a rib pop. Doesn't feel good. Doesn't look good. I mean, it was bad, man. The craziest thing about it is he was in just agonizing pain, right? A popped rib is fucking disturbingly painful. And it's more so when you have someone's legs constricting around you, just fucking vice gripping your shit, right? And that's what happened. That's what he had happening at that very moment. But what was happening as his opponent was squeezing him around his ribs that are broken and raining punches down on him, He's slipping the punches, dodging 90% of them, and still yelling at the top of his lungs, seemingly talking trash to the guy. What a fucking stud, bro. Like, what a fucking stud this young man is. So, yeah. I'm going to pour my shot up for Kevin Holland because that's who my bet was on. And I hope to see him back. This was not a crazy, crazy good win for Roman Dolidze. I thought this was a pretty lackluster win. And I go back to what I've said time and time again on this show. Is this. If Kevin Holland really, really, really dedicated himself to this sport and decided to possibly hire a nutritionist, I think the guy could be a world champion at 170 pounds. I just truly think that if he was able to just make the weight at 170 consistently, he would have a meteoric rise to the top. But when he fights at 185, he's just another guy at middleweight. And that's tough. He doesn't have any crazy length. He doesn't have any crazy power. But at welterweight, he's telling these boys they better welterweight a second because he got something for him. So yeah, I think he should probably try and start working on making that cut down to 170. Stop fighting these 185ers, man. There's no reason for it. I mean, unless you're genuinely just trying to get paid and get laid, as he constantly says, like, then yeah, fight at 185, bro. Eat your steak. But if it were me, I would say probably like if I was one of the homies in his corner or his coach, I would probably say, hey man, let's consider just for 1 year hiring a new nutritionist and making 170 for a year. Even if we get 3 fights in at 170, he's probably top 10. And then 1 more year, he's top 5 or competing for a fucking title. He's a fan favorite. I agree, Gage. Kevin don't give 2 shits. He just wants to fight. Fight and stop crimes. The Kevin Holland way. So with that being said, folks, for him and his snapped rib, to you, Kev.
Cheers. Keep on trailblazing. And maybe he could trailblaze his way into a new division of some sort, or maybe motivate Dana White to find something for him, maybe another BMF title floating around for those big boys or something. Because the reality is, I think, to your point, yeah, he probably should go down there to welterweight. But if I'm being totally honest with you, brother, I don't give a bollocks who he goes in there and fights. I'll pay to watch him fight anybody. A part of me wants him to run it back with Dolidze. I know that's not necessarily kosher, but to lose to an injury after a round where I'd be curious to look at how the judges scored it. I think he won it. And I certainly think there's a path of victory for him in the sense that Homeboy was just... You didn't mention this, which I thought you were going to, but his speed advantage was obvious. Like, I do think that's the one thing, if he is going to go up a weight class, as long as he can work on some of the defense and just being an athlete, he has that speed advantage that can take anyone out. So, yeah, I guess I wouldn't mind seeing him run it back, or just, dude, anyone with a name, anyone that wants to talk some shit, anyone that maybe could line up again like a BMF type situation here. I'm down. Sign me up.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Oh man. So yeah. I mean, for Roman Dolidze, when it comes to the middleweight matchups, there's a number of different places he can go. I'll be honest, I like Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen coming off a loss. Pretty shitty loss off that UFC Paris card to Nasruddin Imavov. Look, I think that's a fun matchup. I think it's a good way for one guy to make his claim to be in contention for a title, and for the other guy to essentially make his claim that he's still here and he still is an MMA anomaly, as we say. Yeah, give me that fight. I think there'll be a lot of punches, a lot of kicks, and a lot of you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. And I do like that fight. although I feel as someone that's a BA fan like yourself and someone that met Brandon Allen, I'm all in on him getting his revenge on our boy Martin Vettori. So part of me wants to
that's definitely the fight that we want to see.
I'm going to reserve BA for that one, and I'm going to put, let's go, baby. Right on cue. Hell yeah. That's us for you visual listeners. And for you audio listeners, our boy MMAnomaly, the producer with the mostest, is showing us, taking our picture with Brendan Allen at the UFC X event, Fight Week, baby. UFC 3 Hundo. What a time. Got the glove signed over there. You see it on the table. But yeah, man, that's right. I'm gonna leave that reserved for that. But there is a killer gorilla on the loose, and I think Roman Dolidze might need to pay him a visit. I'm talking about not the one that beat up the water boy and that he told his mama about. I'm talking about Jared Cannonier. Not the one that escaped from the zoo. Let's go, baby. Jared Cannonier. Beast. Hey, when in doubt, Jared Cannonier's a guy you want to call. And these are two guys, staples, two guys that have been around the block. I fought a lot of kind of co-mingling, kind of cross-pollination in terms of who they fought. But I think that's a good one. That could be a potential fight night as well. Sign me up.
Absolutely, man. You're cooking with heat tonight, brother. Adding all the spices to the dish. Speaking of adding spices, I'll tell you a fight that didn't have any. We got a bantamweight bout between Jose Aldo coming in against Mario Bautista. Now, look, I said two things last week. I said I didn't think Mario Bautista was going to have what it took to take Jose Aldo down. He didn't. He went 0 for 10. I said that the striking for Jose Aldo was going to be too much for Mario Bautista. It was. What I didn't anticipate is that Mario Bautista had become a professional hugger across this fight camp, folks. I know. I was very shocked as well. He's a really good hugger. No, it was wild. But I gotta agree with what he said at the post-fight presser. As much as I was not a fan of the fight, it's not one I will ever say, man, I really should go back and rewatch that Mario Bautista versus Jose Aldo fight. That was a good one. I'll never say that unless it's like I just did as a fucking joke. And if my friends who have never watched mixed martial arts, how are they my friends if they've never watched mixed martial arts? But God forbid, if they haven't and they tell me, I'm not going to say, well, Billy, do I have a fight for you to check out? It's Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. It's a banger. I'm never going to say that. So that's a fact. But you know what else is a fact? That the man spoke truth when he said at the post-fight presser, if I hold him against the cage and he can't get himself off the cage, that's not my problem. And that's not my fault. If the ref isn't separating him, I mean, where was that ref that we had earlier in the night, right? That every time Ihor would touch his opponent, he'd say, all right, separate it. Need to see some action. Like, where was that guy? Jose would have killed this dude if that guy was reffing, right? All jokes aside here, this was not a great fight that anybody will be rushing to watch again. Somehow Mario Bautista, in winning against an absolute legend like Jose Aldo, loses more fans than he gained. Huge misstep as far as game planning. And like, if it's me, I'm jumping on the mic right after and I'm legitimately saying, like, look, I was fighting Jose Aldo, bro. Like, he's terrifying. Yes, I stalled. Yes, I held him against the wall. Yes, I was scared of eating a fucking leg kick. But I won the fight, and now I have a win over Jose Aldo. And that's something that all of you guys in the crowd asking me questions right now at the media day would love to be able to say. And now I can say it, whether you were bored or not. That's how I would have embraced it. Like, you be honest, but you kind of turn heel to an extent, and you roll with it. Yeah, missed opportunity from Mario Bautista. Curious to hear your thoughts on this, and if anything stood out to you about the game plan or just his abilities in general.
Well, appreciate that, brother. Great breakdown. I'll add, my little extra color here, my Salt Bay, my little Bob Ross, couple strokes to the already beautiful canvas you painted for us here. But man, this was obviously one of the ones that a lot of the controversy was around. Judges, what were they looking at? And again, I think due to the lack of transparency for what the judges are how they're scoring it, like Gage and like a lot of us thought, man, I think Jose Aldo, an absolute legend, might have got robbed. Might have been an old-fashioned case of robbery here. Old-fashioned stick 'em up, with the yeah, I don't know. I was trying to make a reference here, but let me stay on track because it's really important for me to get this out because, yeah, again, throughout the fight, it felt like Jose Aldo. I mean, what is if you're stuffing your opponent's takedowns, you make them go 0 for 10. What is that worth? If not anything, right? I mean, is that not points? What are we talking here? Because from a striking perspective, although he did not win in terms of total strikes landed, first round he did get outlanded and was stuffing takedowns, but Mario Bautista was the younger, fresher fighter, more movement, was able to get home a little bit more. But the second round, 25-31. I mean, within 6 strikes, that's 6 strikes over 5 minutes. I mean, come on, that's so subjective. That's such a small, minute, like throw it away number where you can make a case either one of them could have won that. But now you're looking at the takedowns, 0 for 4, Mario Bautista. So Jose Aldo able to do that. Gage here in the comments, we need points for defending takedowns if we get points for takedowns. Couldn't agree more. And again, like we need transparency. We need more communication on this. Whether it's open scorecards would be something I know they've been tossing around. That would be interesting to kind of know after the fact. At least, hey, like I am losing, or hey, I am winning this. Let me continue to keep winning. I digress. I did feel that those stuffing of the takedowns and the strikes being essentially, I'll just say close enough for the layman's, for the eyeball test to say Jose should have won that second round. And then you look at the third, 1-1. I'll take it. That's fair. Aldo, 20 strikes. Mario Bautista, 19. And then 0 for 4 on takedowns again. Significant strikes if you want to even take it a step further. Maybe my total strikes isn't enough for you because he's just throwing hands out. Maybe they're oven mitts and they're just throwing them out there. Okay, come on, he's trying to hurt them. They are strikes nonetheless. But hey, significant strikes for you nitpickers out there. 17 significant strikes against 10 for Mario Bautista. Jose Aldo still stacking pennies for a rainy day, but unfortunately just wasn't enough. I'd be curious to know, how is it not enough? What are you looking at? It sucks because Jose Aldo's a legend, even at a minimum. Like, I don't know. There's tenure or seniority. It's like, I don't know. How do you not give the guy a little bit of that nod? I would have been okay with that if it's like, all right, the older legend kind of got the nod here. All right. But no, that was not the case. But man, and I guess I shouldn't necessarily take that anything away from Mario Bautista. He was able to obviously get the job done. And it felt similar to after that Merab fight where it's like, all right, I know who the winner is probably going to be, but I feel like it should be the guy that was able to kind of defend it off more than the other guy was able to get win, then the other guy was able to win. Do we know how much control time, or was there any control time? Was it mostly clinch
There was
work?
over 6. So they consider clinch work against the cage control time if one opponent or one fighter is literally controlling the clinch up against the cage. So he actually got 7 minutes and 15 seconds of total control time, Mario Bautista, and he still managed to only land 49 significant strikes. So he was averaging less than 10 significant strikes per minute in control time.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Yes.
And that's where it makes it even harder, like where you are starting to see more reactions or more thoughts around the quick breakups, like the quick separations, I should say. And that's one of those things, right, where it's like, okay, I'd have to rewatch it again. Because a part of me is like, man, instead of watching all this quote unquote control time on the fence via clinch, I almost am like, man, if Mario wasn't being more offensive there, the strikes indicate there was not a lot of active trying to put away your opponent, not a lot of active fighting going on. So you can make a case maybe that's when you're like, hey, let me see more. Like I'm gonna stand you back up. And that is probably the one thing here, like not to just blow smoke, but to kind of read in between the lines a little bit. Dana White was mentioning like it's things around winning the fight or not. Like, was Mario Batista in the clinch, controlling the fight? Was he trying to win the fight? Was he trying to hurt his opponent during those exchanges? I mean, he was throwing. It's not like he was just sitting there, catching his breath. And again, I don't want to take away from Mario Batista. I mean, he's a stud. He's repping AZ out here. So I'm rooting for him. I certainly am hoping the best for him moving forward here. He got the win. I would have been happy, frankly, with either one of them winning. But it just sucks when it's a little tainted. He took it on the chins. I think, to your point, maybe could have handled it a little bit better. But I don't know what's next for these guys. I mean, again, I love them both. I think I'd happily pay to see them both get back in there as soon as possible. But logistically, it's tough to say. There's so much unknown in that division still. Maybe we wait and see how a couple of these fights coming up go down, and then we kind of see how the dust settles. But a part of me doesn't necessarily want to reward Mario too much and, throw him into the Sugar Shans or the Peter Yans. He would never fight Sugar. They used to train together. But I don't think I reward him too much. But Jose Aldo, man, I'd pay to watch him fight anybody, brother. Is Dominic Cruz a little too nostalgic for your likings, or do you think Jose should?
Oh man, I'm not mad at you. So you want to see Jose Aldo versus
Dom Cruz
Dominic?
potentially?
I love that. I think it's a fantastic fight. I think that's a fantastic fight. And I have to point something else out for you. Since we're talking about Jose Aldo instead of Mario Bautista, which I'm fine with, we'll just keep piling on the shit. 7 minutes of control time, not one takedown, right? So it's all clinch, right?
That's what I understand. How is that control then? Like,
but
go ahead.
That's fine. I'm okay with that being considered control time. I won't argue that. Now this is where it gets fucking weird and sticky. 7 minutes and 15 seconds of control time. I looked into the official stats to see how many official clinch significant strikes were landed by Bautista. 5. He landed 0.71 strikes per minute. Dude literally landed like 3/4 of a strike per minute. That is so sad.
Stick to my stomach pump.
That is so sad, dog. Like, to be like, I controlled you for 7 minutes. I would literally be like, but you hit me 5 times. You controlled me for 7 minutes and I landed 3 significant strikes. I got 0 seconds of clinch time.
And I think it's even more criminal. That's a real stat. It's more criminal that the judges have the same information, but yet they couldn't connect those dots. It's sad.
So I'm sorry. It wasn't 3. He attempted 3. So Jose Aldo threw 3 significant clinch strikes and 2 of them landed. Mario Bautista threw 6 inside of 7 minutes of control time and landed 5. I mean, we definitely needed the other ref, Gage. We needed the other ref so damn bad. I need to see some action every second there in fucking clinch. All right, separate. Yeah, I'm not going to play matchmaker for Mario Bautista. When it comes to Jose Aldo, I mean, yeah, like what's next for him, right? We need to see him fight against other legends because there's not really anything else for him. So I say you give him Dominic Cruz, and if you want to reward him for kind of who he is and what he's willing to do and put on, you give him Javi Funch. You know what I'm talking about. Rob Font, baby. That's a banger. Ooh. He's sitting right above him in the rankings right now. And has Rob ever fucking said no to an opponent? I don't think so. So I think it's a fun fight. I think that's a very fun fight. I'm also very game for the Dominic Cruz fight. Gage Guidry said, he literally said it in a post-fight interview. He said they watched the Merab versus Aldo film and they planned to do the same because he knew it would be nearly impossible to take him down. Yeah. You just run into him and push against the cage as hard as you possibly can. Every day is leg day. Just do a linear leg press so that way you can fucking just pile on that pressure against the cage. strengthen your arms and your fucking traps so that way you can get that nice grip strength on them with the arms. And I mean, take them to town, baby. Take them to town, Charlie Brown. Lego. As Foghorn Leghorn says, it was the best of times. I say it was the worst of times. And we move on to the women's bantamweight division. More best of times, worst of times situation here with Raquel Pennington coming in against Juliana, the winner, Pena. You hate to see it, man. Juliana, the winner, Pena. Well, we both bet against Pena because we didn't want to hear her lip flapping, or lips flapping for that matter, for the next fucking 6 months or however long it takes her to fight. And you know it's going to take her a long time to fight. That's just simply how it goes. She's going to go do the Ellen show that doesn't exist anymore, and wherever else she can go. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the media thing, but it was just like, yeah, you know, I'm great for the women's belt because like I did the Ellen show, I did Good Morning America, I did this. Bro, if I was Raquel Pennington, I would have fucking unmuted or grabbed my mic and been like, yeah, you did everything but fight and defend the belt.
Yeah.
So,
like, what are you, 50 years old? Fucking who cares? You're on Good Morning America. Who the hell's watching Ellen DeGeneres, you fucking grandma?
Fucking Star That's what I would have said. Bro?
But Raquel's not slick. She doesn't have us on her team. Otherwise, we'd have let her know.
Raquel actually did better than I thought she would in that presser, if I'm being real with you. She was doing good. And then even after the fight, I thought she 10-8'd her on the mic. She's like, good luck listening to this chick yap for the next 6 months.
Yeah, that's what you wanted.
She literally apologized for losing and was like, good luck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jade said the Ellen show that doesn't exist anymore. LMAO. I literally asked my wife like last week if that show still existed. Nah, bro. She got canceled. They're coming after everybody.
Well, Ellen is a little bit of a feisty one there. I don't know. She's a little two-faced there, but that's
another episode.
I guess quote unquote allegedly. Got to say this allegedly. What had happened was. Right, I got my shot poured so we can stomach getting through this fucking Juliana Pena. I stay Reggie like Bush, my friend. Let's go. Cheers to that.
God help us.
And to her ruining her moment too. Like not even like you don't even give yourself any ammo, no clips to go off of or anything. You get the belt back. Not a single word about your opponent. She's on camera next to you, or at least half of the camera for the world to see. You don't say a single slur, a single remark, anything to just be like, oh, I'll go beat up Brock Lesnar later, which that would have landed well, would have been hilarious. Nothing. You just go straight back to Amanda Nunes, blah, blah, blah.
Better late than never.
Now, mind you, I seen that live. Shout out to my wife for hooking me up for my birthday a couple years ago. But I saw what Juliana did that night. Shocked the world, okay? Took the life out of the building. I know firsthand. So I can understand the appeal of that fight. Who wouldn't, right? And I guess, hey, you acknowledge it, right? Maybe it's like, hey, I want to beat her ass, and if she doesn't want to come back, then I'm gonna go beat up Brock Lesnar's ass or something, right? Then maybe you're still find a way to be slick with it, but yeah, I think just a testament to how unfavorable Juliana Pena kind of is coming off a little bit, unfortunately. And she's a Latina. I hate to do it. She's Venezuelan. I'm still gonna root for her. I love that she takes pride in who she is, and she's unapologetic, which are all things that are admirable. And hey, she's a champ. You got to, until someone takes it from her, someone's got to shut that mouth up. And I thought Raquel did just about as much as you could. But I think the difference with the Kayla Harrison is she'll probably go in there and beat her at her own game. And if I'm being totally honest, bro, like, I don't know if it was just as someone that has small chicken legs and small calves, I look at Juliana and I'm like, man, like, she definitely got rocked a couple times, but she just looks so like needle, like she's walking on stilts a little bit there. And I don't know. Some of that's just the eyeball thing where I'm just watching her. I'm like, she looks it's very lethargic on her feet to begin with, and then she's getting clipped left and right. She obviously has her tools and her advantages from a grappling and wrestling perspective, but Kayla Harrison's just going to go in there and I think just run across the ring and just like pile drive her into the ground. And the thing is, she's violent with it too. Like, she will hurt Juliana. I think she might. I think she'll. Yeah. I mean, not to get too far ahead of
I think so
here,
too. I'm with you 100% on that. I think she like German suplexes her ass into the fucking.
Just like does the kind of like Benson Henderson, like uses the cage to like just WWE, like I don't even know, suplex. Like
I could literally see like the fucking presser being Juliana Pena making like 5 of the same tired Brock Lesnar jokes, and then finally Kayla Harrison just picking up the mic after like the 5th or 6th fucking same Brock Lesnar joke and being like, you know, you keep calling me Brock Lesnar. On Saturday night, I'm gonna have to take you to Suplex City, bitch.
Suplex City.
And then literally she opens the fight with a fucking suplex. Bro, I would piss my pants.
Dude.
Could you imagine the fucking scenes? And then the camera pans to Brock Lesnar in the crowd. First time being seen in the public eye since the accusations. Brother.
Hmm?
Then DC runs up and pushes Brock Lesnar. Chaos.
Oh, DC. Take his mic off. Joe's like, where you going, DC? Where's he going? Where's he going? Yeah,
John Anik's like, chaos in the crowd right now.
My co-host.
DC grabs the chair.
Yeah, I think...
What are the craziest things you've ever seen?
I think Kayla Harrison's going to hit Juliana with, an RKO.
An RKO? Fucking tombstones her?
Tombstone. I was trying to think, what's the other one? Fuck. Who has like one of the famous kicks, or I don't even know. Yeah.
Sweet chin music.
There we go. Yes. Some sweet chin music. Thank you. Some sweet chin music. Let's go. I gotta get into that wrestling shit, man. I swear. After the documentary and just my TikTok algorithm, like seeing some good little clips.
There's some really funny stuff, bro. Like not all the way in, but like last year we watched like WrestleMania and we watched like the Royal Rumble, and it's so much fun, dude. It's so goofy.
That's the thing. Way. That's the thing.
Dude, wrestling ain't the same. Not like I miss the Attitude Era. I miss the rated R stuff, the rated R superstars.
What was the other league? WCW or no?
WCW, WWE, WWF, like, bro, NWO, the New World Order.
Dude, yeah.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Oh yeah, Hogan, baby.
Hogan. The cream of the crop, it rises to the top, brother.
I love it, brother. I love it. Yeah, dude, I'll be honest, man. Double G here in the comments. He grew up in that era. I'm 29. I'm right in that ballpark. I unfortunately, I'll be honest, man. I really didn't.
And I'm a little bit
older than that era,
you guys. So I saw that and then some.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in it. Yeah, I honestly, I don't know why. I think part of it was just, if I'm being totally honest, I think part of it was because they'd have it Monday night or Wednesday night and stuff. And I mean, we'd have football, but then we'd have practices or certain stuff. And then my parents, like, not that they're super strict, but we weren't necessarily able to watch the late night stuff or whatever it was. So I just, not part of the culture for your boy. But hey, best believe we're here on the No Filter Show talking UFC. Your boy was watching that shit since the Spike days, baby. What you know on Spike TV, y'all, watching this sheets. Yep.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Never stop.
No did he?
I don't know if you watched Kill Tony, but that just reminded me of William Montgomery. I ain't never gonna stop.
That's one of the things that I want to get into, and tons of people have told me I should watch, but I've never gotten into it. The Kill Tony stuff.
I mean, it's a lot. TikTok's fun. I know that. TikTok's fun if you get the algorithm or you just look up like William Montgomery and stuff, some good little bits. But I mean, good background music. Good. Well, for me, it's background music, which is hilarious. But similar vein. It's good to have on, and you might hear some funny stuff here and there. But there's some good hosts on too. That's always better. But it's fun stuff, man. But yeah, well, William Montgomery, one of the regulars on there, he's hilarious, and like he just like he'll start like hashing out on people and talking all crazy and like bullying them. We're just being like, "Oh, what's up? You talking like you piece of shit, like you little bitch, whatever." It's funny, like funny, sassy, funny, like. But then he's like, "Oh, whatever." He's like, "All right, I'll stop." He's like, "I'm just kidding. I ain't never gonna stop." Like he's just out of it. Like I ain't never gonna stop.
Fucking. I'll have to check that out. So before we get into the main event of the evening here, folks. Last comment here from Gage before we jump into the main event. I was going to events real young, may or may not have even cried when I found out it was fake. Wait a second. Wrestling is fake? What the fuck? I literally thought this whole time it was real, bro. I can't. I'm done. And that's how wrestling storylines are made, folks. Just like that. No, seriously, though, I also wanted to cry when I found out that it was fake because before then, I thought for sure that this Bill Goldberg guy could probably beat most of these UFC guys. It's actually not true. But now Bill Goldberg, he trains UFC. I
think I had a Goldberg. I think I had a Goldberg little action figure. He was definitely the man.
Goldberg was the guy, bro. Goldberg was definitely the guy.
But then you realize he like he was kind of a douche in the wrestling ring. Kind of not a amateur.
Most of the people are douches. Especially if you watch that documentary. We could do a whole episode talking about the uncoverings of the WWE. Oh, but with that being said, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about a light heavyweight bout in the main event of UFC 307 between Alex Pereira and Khalil Roundtree Jr., folks. I said Khalil Roundtree was going to come in here and have absolute heart. Gage, I'm with you there too, brother. Matt and Jeff Hardy, absolute fire. Acrobats, great signature moves, and just fucking insane energy. Unrivaled energy in there. And Lita, I mean, if you watched wrestling, you know. You fucking know. So you either loved Lita or you loved Trish Stratus, or you were a sick fuck like me and you loved them both. So with that being said, Alex Pereira, Khalil Roundtree Jr., this guy is an absolute beast. I had Khalil Roundtree up 3 rounds coming into the final round, folks. I told you I thought Khalil inside of 3 could get it done. And he did look like the better man there. I definitely thought that he won the first round and the second round. And then the third round was a little bit closer, but I thought that he did just enough to edge that round. A lot of the people on the Twitter consensus thought that he was going into that 4th round winning as well. And then 63 significant shots landed to 15 in that 4th round. And again, Gage, I could definitely agree with that. 2-1 going into the 4th. I would not argue with at all. So look, man, I thought that this was an absolute banger of a fight, and it gave us something that I've never actually seen in the cage in UFC. We've seen a shark smell blood in the water and just quickly go for the
fatality.
But in this one, it wasn't like that 30-second. It wasn't that crazy barrage, right? No, it was something much crazier. It felt like I was watching a clip from the fucking Matrix, right? Neo versus Agent Smith, but Neo finally realized that he's the one, right? So you see Alex coming in, and a shot comes. He dodges it in slow-mo, pop, pop, moves in more, lands the leg kick. Another shot comes, whiff, straight, whiff, left. Everything that came, it literally, I mean, like, everyone has seen the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, right? Flash Thompson fights him in the fucking school. Yeah, I wouldn't want to fight me neither. The way that he makes him miss and just looks silly, that's what Alex was able to do in that 4th round after eating a lot of those shots superbly in the 1st and 2nd rounds. So, just incredible ability to download data and then use it against your opponent live action in that 4th round. The flow state was absolutely impeccable. I just I couldn't have been more impressed with that 4th round from Alex Pineda, and the calm demeanor in which he landed those strikes. Like, the fact that you can literally be murdering a man and watching chunks of his flesh fly off and just not even blink and be like, cool, this is fine. Oh, and he's throwing big haymakers back at me and heaving and hoeing. And if one of them connects, maybe it can do damage, but that's fine. I'm just going to slowly slide out of the way. He missed. Oh, and there he missed again. Pop, pop. Oh, and he missed. Uppercut. He missed. Leg kick. Right there it is. Like, the way that he was seeing things and picking shots was just fucking gorgeous, my guy. Adrian, the A-Train in the house. What's up, brother? We'll pour one out for you. Cheers, man. Cheers.
Let's go. What's up, compa? Great to see you as always. Hump day. We'll definitely pour one out. And you're absolutely right, brother. I mean,
one out for Khalil as well, man. I mean, like, that was my pick.
Well, yeah. I will definitely pour one out. I started following Khalil after that. I mean, Khalil's an absolute savage, man, and I love his sentiment after that. Like, he thanked Poatan for helping him validate his place in the octagon with him. So, cheers to that, brother. Knowing he belongs, putting on a hell of a fucking show. And being a motherfucking warrior, like a modern day gladiator at its core.
I know he uses that voodoo magic, so I'm also a voodoo guy.
Nice.
Shama.
And shout out to greatness, just continuing to stamp legacy, right? I mean, that's all it is here at this point, and we kind of figured it going into it. Shout out Daryl there for the sentiments as well. I mean, Alex put on a masterclass. Like, if this was like masterclass, a true textbook rendition of how you can pick apart your opponent and deploy a perfect game plan. It's exactly what Alex did there. The knees, I would say the big thing early on that was the difference maker for me was the calf kicks. I mean, we knew that was a part of Alex's game. Simple, but that strike, you really seen it pay dividends over time. Part of it was maybe Khalil getting a little tired, obviously just wear and tear. You're fighting one of the baddest dudes on the planet. I would say the baddest motherfucker on the planet. No hyperbole. Like, I think he is the scariest dude to come across in an alley. Like, you see that, you're like, all right, I'm dying. But also in any sort of sanctioned ring, I just simply don't think a lot of people are touching him right now. That's just how high I'm holding him. Obviously, Tommy Aspinall sitting here saying, hold my beer. But back to the calf kicks, because that was debilitating our boy Khalil. That really, really, really put a chink in his armor. Was there anything else that stood out to you, my brother? I mean,
the calf kicks really started to add up. The jab was also just disturbingly accurate. Daryl Clark here said it in the chat. Alex Pineda was landing some crazy knees in that 3rd round, nasty leg kicks, and the jab was also rocking Khalil. The body shots eventually put Khalil down. His striking is incredible to watch. Now, something that's really, really fun to watch is somebody that has a good fundamental jab. And, like, people throw jabs in many ways. Some people will throw, like, the Wing Chun jab, just throw it out there straight. Other people will throw it a slight turnover. This is more of kind of a boxer's jab where you turn it half over. And then a really good Muay Thai striker or a really good Muay Thai based MMA fighter will teach you to throw it and turn it completely over. Now, the reason for that, I'll turn the other way so that way you visual viewers can see what I'm talking about here. If I throw the Wing Chun style, so you can see, right, it's quick, but it leaves quite a bit of exposure right here. Now, if I turn it over a little bit, you can see I've already covered most of the point of my facial hair, which is a little over half of my jaw lining, which is soft tissue. If I turn this all the way over, though, I'm pretty fucking protected with my shoulder blade, right? Even if you throw something around that, you're going to hit and roll over that shoulder. Best case scenario, you're rolling into my temple. I'm absorbing a lot of that shock that was going from my jaw lining onto my shoulder by turning over. Now, Alex changes it up, right? He'll throw somewhere between that 2nd and 3rd variation. And when he throws it, it's literally like a piston in a car, in a machine. It's disgusting to watch. And the way that he throws it, like the kind of the biggest thing that stood out to me is in that finishing barrage, right? it's very easy to get carried away and get like, okay, cool, I smell blood in the water. He's hurt. You start just really going for the head. You start really head hunting there. He did that for like 3 strikes at that very end. And then he stopped. He's like, you know what? He's got chunks of his fucking face hanging off and he's still not going down. So he went pop, pop, comes around for the hook. And about halfway through the hook, he's like, you know what? Never mind. And just kind of half rolls. And you can see his shoulder do this little roll. So that way he still gets the same transfer of momentum off of that. Boom! Right into the fucking rib cage. And mind you, Khalil is watching these strikes coming through. It's not the hardest, strongest, fastest strike that takes you out. It's the one you don't see or expect to feel. Right? So if you hit me with your best shot to the face and it's your fucking haymaker, if I see it, there's a chance I survive it, even if maybe I shouldn't. And then you catch me with just a would-be fucking lead hook to the rib cage, and because I don't see it, I don't tense up. Because I don't tense up, you snap that fucking rib. Just like we saw with Kevin Holland. Right? And I'm sure there's some rib damage in there. The way that he landed on that rib and the way that it instantaneously dropped somebody who otherwise was able to withstand the storm and the heat that was coming through that kitchen. Yeah, the jab was just absolutely disgusting. The ability to switch shots on a whim. And honestly, just the ability to disguise the shots that are coming in. The way that he throws, the closest comparison I can think of, Nano, to kind of compare him to another fighter on here is Yoel Romero. He used to do this thing in fights where like he would rock back and forth and he'd move really slow. And you're like, okay, he's like 40 fucking years old and he's moving like the fucking like Santa Claus right now. Like he's not moving with a lot of quickness. But then as soon as you start to think that about him, he's fucking quick and he's in your face and he's landing these big overhand rights or he's, got you on your back fighting for your fucking life, or he's throwing a flying knee and split your head open if your name's Chris Weidman. So like, that's what Pineda does. Like I don't feel like when I'm watching him on TV that he's moving incredibly fast. I felt like Khalil was faster than him every fucking round. The twitch movement, the speed, the overall everything. But the way that he moves, again, it's tricky. He literally makes you feel like he's moving in slow motion until he hits you. And then you're like, wow, how did that connect so hard when it seemed like it was so slow? But he's just throwing it with fundamental purpose and fundamental perfection. Everything is mechanical. It doesn't have to, if it's, right? Everything is mechanical. Your body is doing all the work for you so that you don't have to overexert yourself. And that's also why he doesn't really look winded or labored in a lot of these exchanges. I'm going to jump off my soapbox because I could talk about this fucking fight and this exchange all night, brother. Yeah, I mean, did anything else stand out to you that I didn't cover right there?
Oh, brother, hey, man, I think all of us here, all 115, 116, including myself, brother, this was the popcorn, man. Love to hear you break it down. That's what it's all about. But yeah, brother, I mean, honestly, it was the methodical nature in which Alex went out there and got it done. And that finishing barrage was just one of his better ones that he's ever had out there. And to your point, you got to give Khalil his flowers. I mean, not only was he able to survive, which is kind of a credit in and of itself. It's like, hey, he actually lasted, over 15 minutes with Alex Pereira outside of Israel Adesanya. No one else really can say the same thing when it comes to UFC or mixed martial arts. So a lot he can take away there, but he definitely landed a couple times. Definitely had him a little, I don't want to say rocked, but if I'm Justin Timberlake, I'm saying, no, please don't be too quick to walk away. Gonna rock
Dance
your body. Gonna break a day. Come on, dance with me.
Dance with me.
Fuck yeah. But that's what happened, I think, man. A little bit there. So wasn't to use baseball terms here, it was not a perfect outing. Was not a perfect game. Was not a no-hitter even for Alex Poatan Pereira. He's got to remember his defense, but no, Khalil landed some shots, man. Like, he earned his stripes in there. And again, I led off before you went into your sentiment. Like, big thing that resonated with me is Khalil saying, "Hey, man, thank you for letting me know. Like, I belong. I can hang here." Like, that's cool. I think that's a feeling that everyone can resonate to, right? It's like if you're seeing that, it's like no matter what the situation is or what the circumstances are, that can be relatable to anything, man. Take that shot, like take the risk on especially if it's on yourself. Fucking do it. Like if you're on the fence, you're listening to this right now. If Khalil can help validate it, it's like, dude, take that chance, right? You get that phone call, it's something that, hey, might look like Mount Everest. Just want to take it one step at a time, baby. Take a chance on yourself there, and you never know. A little belief, a little bit of risk. You know, the right challenge can certainly unlock something in you that maybe you didn't know was there, or maybe that you forgot was there, or maybe you do know it's there. In which case, LFG, baby. But yeah, man. I mean, fucking go, baby. It was a fun fight. Woo! Poatan, absolute stud. Just again, continuing to just build his resume, build his legacy. I don't know what's next for him, man. I genuinely just think he can't do no wrong. The obvious thing that's next, in my opinion, is the winner of the Magomed Ankalaev and Alexander Rakic. And like Double G here has been, Steph Curry with the shot, not missing a single time here, swinging a hot bat since it is October baseball season here. But yeah, I agree with you, GG. Like Magomed's the move. Obviously, he's got to take care of business. He has to win over Rakic, which is not a gimme. It is not a guarantee. It's not a walk in the park. But Rakic is certainly beatable. And I do think if you're Magomed, boy, if you're not going Rocky 4 right now, like, what the hell you doing? Like, you got to be freaking motivated. Like, I would just play that soundbite of Dana talking crap. I'd replay that Jan fight. I'd be pulling up all these tweets. I mean, he needs to understand, like, you got to make a statement. And you got to be definitive with it. And this is how you do it. You go out there, you beat him, you put him out, and you call your shot, and then you build your case. And then, 2025 is the year of... That's right. The year that you get to face the champ. But, hey, man, I don't think he's going to have the same ending. It might be like Rocky 1 for our boy Magomed, but...
I try to get these queued up as quick as I can based on the shit you randomly say.
Perfect timing, brother. Quick shout out there, man.
Every now and then we get the victory,
Hey, man. I'm gonna have to get the poster behind me. That's how big of a Rocky fan I am. You're absolutely right.
Go.
That's it, man. No, and shout out to you for producing, man. The co-host is with the mostest. And we're no filter out here, so we're keeping it raw. We're keeping it off the cuff. But yeah, Magomed's got to take care of business, man. If he doesn't, he looks a little silly. And the UFC is going to be like, all right, I guess we'll throw Rakic in there. But how does that look when, Yuri took care of him and Alex took care of Yuri, right? A little bit of MMA math there. So hoping Magomed takes care of business so we can build up this light heavyweight matchup and make it a little bit more of a mystique. But Alex just seems pretty much untouchable. And the fact that they're now putting him in the likes of Khabib's and John Jones. I know it was mentioned earlier. I don't know if it was Daryl or Gage, but they're like, hey, John Jones fans, plug your ears because we are hyping up the new fancy toy here. It's like a Woody and Buzz Lightyear scenario. I know. But it is what it is. It's in vogue and it's in fashion. And the highlight clip, it's starting to become undeniable, though. I think that's where we're at.
I love that people are saying that about it, and they're referring to him as the shiny new toy. I actually was on the Against the Fence podcast as a guest talker. Shout out last week, going over this very card here, and another person that was on there was in this chat earlier, making the walk. Jax, shout out, dope guy, and I literally said. One of the questions that we were asked by the Against the Fence podcast is, do we feel like Alex Pereira is ducking Magomed Ankalaev? Jack said yes. I said no, but that I agree with him to some extent. I don't think Alex is ducking because I think Alex is the type of guy that if you told him to fight against a fucking car, he would. Like 10 out of 10 times, man versus car wins. It's going to run you over. But Alex would be like, Chama. So I don't think he's running from anybody, folks. I just think that that's real talk. I do, however, think that Dana White is the kid on the playground with a shiny new toy, right? And Magomed Ankalaev, he's little Billy. Little Billy's kind of a nutcase, right? Every time someone lets Billy play with their toy, something happens, right? Like it's not always good, it's not always bad. But last time someone let them play with his toy, little Billy ripped the arms off of it. And so Dana's new shiny toy is Alex Pereira. And he's going to the playground every day like, look at this shiny toy. Look at what he can do. Chama. He clicks a little button on his back. He pulls the string. Chama, chama, chama. He's not going to hand that toy to little Billy. Because all Billy does is wreck shit. So he's just not going to do that. You know what I think happens? This is an unpopular opinion. I said it on the Against the Offense podcast here. If Carlos Olberg, the ladies' man that used to strip for a living in Australia, I think if he goes out there and gets the win in the coming weeks in impressive fashion, he fights Alex Pereira for the title next. Ahead of Magomed Ankalaev. You heard it here first, folks. It's not the right answer. It's not the best answer. But it's the white answer. The Dana White answer. You know, when you got a star, you got to keep them in the sky as long as you can, folks. But you also have to keep them in your pocket. If you've learned anything from the Conor McGregor era. And Alex, he signs the dotted line. He says Chama. He gets paid. And that's it. Dana loves that shit.
Fuck. You're right about it.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, if I have the coolest toy in the world and I know that you fuck shit up, I'm not giving you my toy. I'm not gonna let you play with it. You can look at it and I can tell you, like, you know what? Maybe I'll let you play with it tomorrow. If you're really good with the toy you have right now, I'll let you play with it tomorrow. But no, that's literally what Dana's doing to Magomed Ankalaev for the last 2 years.
Yeah. You gotta wring this towel out while you got it. And he's 37 years old. He being Alex Pereira Poatan. So he's here for a good time, not a long time. I say do whatever he wants. Obviously, I think the UFC is kind of the belief, and I think he's partially of the belief of, hey, stay busy. So I guess either they wait, or to your point, I mean, man, and honestly, a couple heavyweight guys out there that I'd love to see him tussle with as well. There's a couple out there. There's some heavyweights.
Who you got?
I mean, I think we know. We got the ultimate stare down.
Tommy?
One of the best moments we've had in a while. That Tommy has been on. And I like that Alex actually. I like that he actually acknowledged it as well. He said that was one of my favorite moments, which I'm like, okay, he knows. I think.
I love that he posted that. That was fucking hilarious.
The fact that he acknowledged it, I'm like, that's sick. He knows what's going on here, and I think you could build that up. The other one was obviously John Jones, but it sounds like John's pretty set on things being finalized here.
Come on,
but
don't be crazy.
I know, you're right, dude. I mean, the reality is John's same age as Alex. Like, how does that not fucking wet your palate a little bit, right?
Wet your gullet.
How does that not tickle the old fancy, man?
Brother.
So that's where I'm at. And if I'm Khalil, I think I'd give him Jamal Hill, right?
Jamal. Is Alex the GOAT if he wins the heavyweight championship? Yes.
1,000%.
Oh my God, Gage. Again, brother. I really like you. But I mean, come on, dude.
I would go as far as
I think we're on the same page here when we say that the interim is the real true heavyweight title. Fucking fight me, bro.
Yeah.
John Jones is not the heavyweight champion. He beats Cyril Gane and nobody else. He's had one fight in 3.5 years.
I mean, and we've seen some fights like this in the past where, and I don't know if it's felt as gimmicky, but trying to think of like a BJ Penn at light heavyweight or did he fight at heavyweight? I don't know. BJ Penn was like,
I don't think he fought at light heavyweight. I mean, I don't think he fought at heavyweight, but he definitely fought across a lot of weight classes.
He might need to be our new MMAnomaly merch, just because, all the different shades.
Definitely make some BJ Penn MMAnomaly merch. I think
all the different shades.
Featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, and heavyweight / open weight. So he fought at heavyweight.
50 shades of BJ Penn there. Yeah, that's a whole nother level. But yeah, again, there's been some gimmicky ones there, but to go out and beat a legit heavyweight, to stretch across 3 divisions like that, honestly, the reality for me, if he goes out there and beats a Ciryl Gane, I'm booking it as he's my favorite and one of the baddest motherfuckers ever do it. Maybe not the best mixed martial artist ever, but if we're just using like baddest motherfucker, yeah, it's that dude. Scariest, yeah. Guy that I need to knock someone out in any circumstances. And I will say, and I've never really thought of this a lot, because in other sports you do it more, but like if each limb and every skill is like a specific, just its own thing. I mean, he has the best left hand, he has the best left hook ever. And that's already, I think, established. Go turn on the tape. So that left hand made of stone or made of vibranium, whatever he's got out there. Yeah, one of the best weapons ever. Legal weapons.
You've heard of lethal weapons. These are legal weapons. No, he definitely has some of the best weapons of all time.
They are permitted.
I would like to see Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pineda, but I don't think that's the best matchup to make necessarily. The money matchup has got to be John Jones.
Yeah, and I think if I'm Alex, like, what else do you have to prove? I mean, how many more times do you need to defend your title? Really? His legacy's there. We're getting paid. Yeah, I personally would rather just straight up see Tom or John right now. I'd rather see Tom right now, even if it's like, hey, I don't want to wait for John. If it's just like, if Alex is like, give me a fight, I want to fight in 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Dana's like, all right, fuck, who do I look at? Obviously, there's a little bit of traction in light heavyweight. But if Alex is like, hey, I'll get rid of the title, I'll just go straight back up to heavyweight and I'll challenge Tom for the interim. Oh boy. Boy, is that a fun one. Talk about Dana White privilege. That'd be one I'd
talk about it.
Back up. That'd be one I would support. The triple champ.
So in the chat, Daryl Clark says if Alex is able to stuff Tom's takedowns and knock him the fuck out to become triple champ, that's incredible. I completely agree. Gage says, will Tom take him down? I mean, here's the thing. Everyone else that has fought against the guy is like, you know what? I think I'll stand with him. Even though that's his bread and butter, I think I'll try it. Tom has already said that if he fights somebody like that, he's going to spear him. He literally said he is going to rugby tackle him. Daryl Clark says, I think Tom and John sub him, to be honest. Me too. I think it's a bad matchup for Alex Pineda. I think those are the only 2 people that are not going to play the game of Alex Pineda. They're not even going to do the stare down. John's going to look down, not even look him in the eye, which is just going to take all the fun out of it. And then he's going to do the big brother thing and put his hands on top of him instead of fist bumping him. And he's going to take him down and submit him. I don't like John Jones. That's how I see that fight going. Daryl Clark says, but it's worth at least trying to become a triple champ. Why not try to make history? I completely agree, man. Shout out to that. Shout out to those who dare. Shout out to those who dream. And shout out to the Chama team. That guy is a fucking beast. Either way, no matter who the UFC put him against next, even if it's Carlos Ulberg, we're gonna watch it, folks. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Carlos Ulberg's number 10 right now. If he wins, Dana will put him at number 4 just so he has the reason to fight Alex Pineda. So yeah, that's it, folks. Again, we could talk about this shit all night. We love this shit. And this fight card, honestly, there were some weird moments. There were some bad reffing. There was some even worse judging. But I digress, folks. We still enjoyed the hell of it because that's what we do. We enjoy these fights. And then we enjoy coming over here right after and breaking them down for you folks. So if you're available tomorrow night, we will be here, same time, same place, breaking down the upcoming card. That's right, folks. We're talking about a Brandon Raw Dog Royval coming in against Tatsuro Taira with a really fun co-main event as well. Brad Tavares versus Jun Young Park, the Iron Turtle. Folks, we're going to be breaking down that entire fight card as well as our best picks and best bets. Gage, we definitely watched the Max and Ilya interview, and we will definitely be talking about that in tomorrow's episode. So, folks, make sure you tune in. If you're new here, if you're old here, if you're somewhere in between, please do us a favor. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell for notifications. And the only other thing that we really want you to keep doing, folks, is keep on going and keep on growing. We'll see you tomorrow. Later.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.